And we are back.
We are back, bumble bitches.
This is Friday content.
This is Friday content.
Don't know what episode, don't know what number.
But we're here.
But we're here.
For you guys.
So we were talking this morning that we wanted to do some rehashing of things.
Yes.
And I know that the I versus you statement, the soft startups and all of that stuff wasn't very old. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the conversations that we had about like household duties, responsibilities in that fashion, talking about things like how to have an argument. Is the argument worth it? Do you remember that time that we were having a conversation and like you were pretty on point with what you're trying to talk about? I'm like, why are we fighting about this? This is fucking stupid. And like, you kind of got a little in your feels because I called what you're trying to argue about stupid. And like, it wasn't that I thought you were stupid or that the fight was stupid. It's that this isn't something we should be arguing about.
Right.
But I didn't have the vernacular that I have now. And I wasn't able to articulate my emotions. So what came out was, this is fucking stupid.
You said that and my soul went like clutching my pearls. Yeah, that definitely, I really did go into my feels in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got ripped apart in the comments of that video.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Because I bet people also got into their feels.
They did. Well, and I understand it. Like I don't negate the way that they were feeling in the moment when seeing that, but they didn't understand where I was coming from.
Right, because the conversation elaborating on why you said what you said in the moment.
Right. And to me, this is stupid still stands. Because I don't want to fight with you over things that aren't really worthy of fighting over. So like you have to ask yourself, like, is this something really worth fighting over? Is my visceral reaction to defend myself necessary? 9 times out of 10, it's not. Mm-hmm. Right? So like we're looking at that 1% of an opportunity where we need to defend ourselves. Like, come on. So that's where that came from for me. And like, I still stand by that statement. I just know that I could have said it better.
Right.
So that got me into some thought processes of what I want to talk about today. Okay. And I made a list and I put it up on the TV for you.
I love lists.
I like your hat.
Thank you. It is from Change Unchained. Yep. That's so I have to really focus on that when I say it. I'm dipping
too.
My head so they can see it.
When we were recording with Troy, I kept fucking it up. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's funny.
I love seeing his TikToks.
Yeah. Yeah. We have an open invitation to go to the ranch.
I think about that all the time.
Just got to make the time to go up there.
I think the fall.
Yeah, it would need to be cold. I'm not trying to be out there sweating my ass off.
Maybe plan it for next fall.
I'm also not trying to go up there and having to work. I want to see the ranch, not work on the ranch. and those ranches are work.
I can go with his wife to buy furniture and decorate. I would have fun with that.
And then I'm going to be stuck working.
Well, you don't want to decorate? No, I'm kidding.
I don't want to work. I'm lazy.
No, I get that.
I'm too injured and too old for this shit now.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not too old for it, but I'm definitely too injured for it currently. So this episode is things to ask yourself before fighting with your person. It's a good name, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first question that you need to ask is this really something for us to fight about?
Hang on, pause. I would like clarification on the term fight. Are we screaming at each other? Am I approaching with aggression?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should talk about what fight looks like.
Okay. Well, let's do that then. What do you consider a fight?
Okay. So when I think of a fight, I feel the need to defend myself. So if I'm going into the conversation already on defense, like I can't believe this fucker did this to me, I'm starting a fight.
Okay.
If I approach the conversation of like, hey, babe, this is really stuck in my mind and it's been digging at me. Can we have a conversation about it? That's different.
Okay. Well, that could become a fight.
It could be.
That's what we call disruptions.
Right. So like I'm going through the steps of what I view as a fight, right? So right off the bat, if that's how you're approaching the conversation, you're looking for a fight. Say we approach the conversation the latter way that I said, and then they're defensive. That is the open invitation to a fight on my end, right? So I can either engage in that and be like, bitch, I said what I said, or I can be like, no, babe, I'm not trying to argue with you right now. I just want to have a conversation about how I'm feeling.
Right.
And you're my favorite person, and you always make me feel good, so help me feel good.
Right. So this is the difference between going through something when you're in an emotional mindset before you've worked through what the actual problem is.
Right.
And just wanting your person to feel what your person feel what your person is feeling because you're hurt right now.
Right.
Right. Versus going, okay, this was said, This is why I feel this way. This is how it needs to be addressed, and then addressing the problem. So, and that's a good thing to recognize, because it's actually part of what's on here. I think that the general population will refer to anything that is an argument as a fight. We had a fight this morning. It was an argument. It's just another word that's overused and under is probably not the right word. It's just used with not intentional definition.
Right, like verbiage.
Right.
People assign definitions to words based on what they're feeling in the moment versus what the word actually means.
Right.
And I catch myself doing that. That's why I always rephrase myself when I think of a new way to phrase something.
Yeah.
And I want to add on to what you're saying. People view disagreements as arguments.
A lot. Oh, there's tension.
Right. A simple disagreement people view as a fight.
Right. Well, that's because people
take it personal.
They do. And they're not accustomed to conflict. They definitely do not do well when it comes to personal engagement. And I think a lot of that comes down to most conflict being done on the internet now.
Right.
So when it's done in person, people are uncomfortable and don't know how to deal with themselves. Right? Okay.
Right.
So the first question was, is this really something for us to fight about? So anytime something comes up, whether it's in a bad way or a good way, that's the first question. Is this something that's really worth having a fight over? 9 times out of 10, it's not. Most of the time, it's just we need to hash some things out so that we can be on the same page. And like, if I hurt you or you hurt me, we can let that grievance be aired, and then we can start making change to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Once that transgression has happened, it's happened. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that you can say or I could say to make that not have happened.
Right.
So logically, the only thing that I can do is go, hey, I'm sorry that I fucking did that. Or you could do the same thing. And moving forward, I will try to make a concerted effort not to do that again, because I know that it affected you the way that it did, right? I validated your emotion. We've talked about what's going on, and I'm going to try to show you change behavior in the future, because now I know that my behavior has affected your mental health. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. So is this something worth us fighting about?
I'm going to pause.
Okay.
Because there's a thought formulating and I want to grasp it before it slips. So you said the only thing that either of us could do in a situation is apologize and change the behavior. And if there is consistent changed behavior and that changed behavior becomes habit, there's really no transgression there, just the one that was apologized for. Being hung up on something is something everybody does. Shit that keeps everybody awake at night. This is going to sound really shitty. That's the you problem that we're talking about. That hung up feeling is the toxic version of you wanting to grasp onto something to fight. Because if you've grown up in fighting and chaos, that's comfort to you.
Right.
Fighting and chaos means that you're willing to fight for me because you love me. And you love me. That's what I'm focusing on here. It's not the fact that I'm disrupting our life and disrupting your peace. It's I'm focusing on your fighting with me because you love me.
It's such a toxic mindset to have.
Yeah.
I think that speaks into well, I'll walk away and he'll chase me. Well, why didn't you chase me?
Yeah. Because I can't believe you didn't chase me.
Right. You're not an ice cream truck.
I'm going to talk shit to all my friends now. You're so right. He should have chased you. Right. Piece of shit.
Yep.
Bringing in the negativity bias to add on to all of it.
Yeah, that spirals into a whole fucking mess, doesn't it?
It does.
That speaks into the whole premise of what our podcast is, though. Like that episode, like what you just laid out, was the entire first year of our podcast in a fucking 2-second blurb. Once you have asked yourself if this is something really worth fighting over or not, and you decide yes, ask yourself why. Is it
justice?
Right, because you're not going to get justice.
Right.
What you're going to get is your person hurting because you can't let go of something that they did because you're still in your feelings. You can get an apology, but an apology is not going to make that feeling go away.
Right.
The change behavior over time is.
And the reassurance and the comfort and I'm sorry, babe. Hey. Okay, so before I get into that quote, it was a hey continuing on to a quote of a made-up scenario. I should probably elaborate on this made-up scenario so it makes sense.
Okay.
Right? So, say Phil does something to Susan in their relationship. He forgot to message her that he was leaving work and he was gone for 2 hours drinking with the buddies. And she had a past relationship where she was cheated on by somebody like that. Would just disappear for hours on end and call her crazy. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I was gone for 45 minutes, whatever. He's apologized for that. It's been 5 years since that happened, and he's changed the behavior. Triggers are a thing for people. There are times where something happens in my day-to-day life where I'm triggered and I'm like back in 6-year-old me fighting for my life. And I have to remember that I am an adult with decades of experience and knowledge, and I am in control here. And I do have to kind of coax myself back into that reality, present mindset. Speaks on PTSD.
Yeah, it does.
So I can understand how 5 years later, if you're laying in bed at night and you've had a really bad mental day and all of a sudden you thought about that one time he was gone and you don't really know if he was out drinking with his buddies, but you believe him because you trust your man and the behavior has changed. The next morning, hey babe, I was up last night because I was really focused on that time 5 years ago and I had a really bad mental day yesterday. I just need reassurance right now that you love me. I know the behavior's changed, but that was the focus of my night and I just couldn't sleep and I need a hug.
So the difference in that situation is the I need a hug and I need reassurance. Most couples will find themselves in that repetitive loop.
Right.
Where the person that was hurt will say what they have to say, and the person that did the hurting will be like, that was 5 years ago. When are you going to let this go?
Right.
Why am I still paying the sins? Like you said, the behavior has changed. Why is this still a thing? And then that would create conflict. So in a scenario where that happens, the thing that you just laid out, I need reassurance and I need a hug. I need to know that you still love me. It's just validating. Like, I just need to know that we're still in this together because I was fighting my demons all night last night.
Yeah. I know it's totally illogical.
Right.
Like, I trust you. Everything is fine right now. This has not happened in years, but the demons were getting me last night.
I would also like to point out that in your scenario, you said that she doesn't know whether or not he was out drinking or not. In that scenario, even if he did go out drinking that night, 5 years of changed behavior, it doesn't matter if he did it or not. He's changed his behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
That was more of just an elaboration of the focus of where I'm at in the mindset.
Right.
Or where a person could be at in the mindset. That was what was running through my mind all night. And now I'm in fight or flight and I need to know I'm safe.
Yeah. So continuing on with that thought, and I'm just going to quickly read through this so that we can move on to the next thing. Is really something that we should be fighting about? Why? And is it more likely that we are both tired, stressed? Are we disconnected? And do we need time with each other? And this is going to tie into something a lot later on, but the time with each other matters.
It does.
Is this something that we are disconnected? We need more time with each other. We need to have a date night. We need to do something to reconnect. And I promise that's going to be a whole ass conversation later in this, so I don't want to get into that now, but I would like to move on to the next thing. Anything on that?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
The next thing in a fight that you should be asking yourself, is this what I actually mean to say, or am I being intentionally mean out of frustration?
Okay, hang on, pause. Read that one more time so I can process it.
Is this really what I mean? Or am
Meaning like what I'm saying, what I want to say to my person, all
Yes.
of my frustrations and whatnot. Okay.
Right. Well, the scenario, I was up all night dealing with my demons, the one that you just laid out. The difference is what you need is validation, a hug, and to know that I'm still with us.
Right.
But if I come to you and say, I can't fucking believe you did that to me 5 years ago. I've been up all fucking night dealing with it, blah, 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 blah.
You're the problem.
That's not what you need. You're not being intentional with your speech. You are throwing shade right now. So is this what I actually mean?
Okay.
Or are you being are you being intentionally mean out of spite and frustration?
Okay, so intentionally mean, meaning like using the things said in a emotionally vulnerable moment against them because I'm hurt right now.
Right.
Okay.
It could just be the way that you're talking to them.
Okay.
Your tone, just your tone can be the catalyst to an actual fight. If you were off, and we've talked about this a lot, if you were off, right, and like I was like, what's wrong with you? You're off, you're mad. I can tell something's not right with you. All of those things are accusatory.
Yeah.
If I was like, hey, your energy feels off a little bit this morning, you want to talk about it? And you were like, yeah, I was up last night dealing with my demons. This is why I was thinking about blah, 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 blah. And we had a normal conversation. That's healing, right? That is how you start overcoming those. A little bit of that scab falls off every single time you have a normal conversation.
Right.
In the event that you are off and I'm like, the fuck is your problem this morning? very different delivery. I'm intentionally being mean because I don't like the way your energy is right now.
Yeah. If I get hit with what you just said, my response would be, right now, you. Why are you talking to me this way?
Right. And now we have a whole new conversation that has nothing to do with what's actually going on, which means nothing is going to be resolved in conflict.
Right.
Anything on that one? Because that one's pretty short and self-explanatory.
No, nothing on that one.
All right. The next one is, have you taken the time necessary to work through the emotional process before bringing something up?
Oh, man. That's something that took me a long time to do.
It's hard.
It is hard. I used to be that person who, if I was awake at 2:00 in the morning and I'm just dating somebody, right? They're living in their own house. I'm living in my own place. I would text them at 2:00 in the morning with all of my anxieties, paragraph after paragraph, and then wait for them to make me feel better. I'll just panic for the next 6 hours until they're awake. And then when they don't make me feel better, they're upset because I've blasted them with all of this anxiety.
And they're waking up to conflict.
Right. And now, what do you mean? Why are you upset with me? You're supposed to be helping me here.
Right.
What's your problem? They've woken up to conflict, and now they're the issue of the conflict.
Right.
It's a lot. And being somebody who has borderline, it's taken me a lot to differentiate between, am I having a logical emotional reaction right now? Or am I black and white and I just want to burn shit down? And there are times it has taken me months to process something before I brought it to you and be like, hey babe, I just had an epiphany about me. Listen to this shit that I just figured out. And it's always a really hyped up conversation, and it's never a sad thing, even if I cry, because there's an excitement in me growing.
Right.
And same thing for you. If you process something, you're like, holy shit, 30 years later, I've just realized this thing about me.
But that's that little bit of healing.
Right.
The reason that we want to ask if we've worked through the emotional process before bringing something up is so that you can clearly identify what's going on. Because if you can't clearly identify what's going on and you're just hurting and you want the other person to hurt because you're hurting,
or you want them to make them, or you want them to make you feel better.
Right. Whatever the issue is, the underlying issue is not being resolved because you're hung up on the emotional aspect of things. And like you said earlier, it could be, if you love me, you'll fight for me. If you love me, you'll stop me from walking out the door. Like
right.
A healed person's not letting somebody stop. You want to walk out the door, have at it. Right? Like, I've already done my healing. You got a whole lot of work to do on yourself. Go do that shit.
When you heal,
come back.
You'll come back.
Right.
When you heal, you'll come back.
Right.
If you don't, there's no room in this sphere. Good girl.
So if in the event that you are simply hurt and wanting to lash out, you have to pause and go, do I want resolution right now? Or do I just want them to know that I'm hurting and I want them to feel the way that I feel?
Right.
Because that's not healthy.
No, I view that as a villain justice mindset.
Yeah.
I want to say revenge, but it's not revenge because they don't view that as, I mean, maybe they do view that as, they made me feel this way, so I want them to feel bad, and do view it as revenge.
I think it's a manipulation tactic too.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
When we read one of the books that we read, it might have been Choice Theory. It could have been The Courage to Be Disliked. It was one of those two, but they were talking about being angry. And like, if they fuck your order up and you go back and start screaming and yelling, you already wanted to scream and yell. You used your anger as an excuse to scream and yell. Because if it was your boss or somebody that you cared about or you respected, you wouldn't scream and yell. You would check yourself because you fucking have the ability to do so. But knowing that that's the case, I think that people use that to manipulate their partner to get them to do what they want them to do. Because you don't have to scream and yell. You don't have to have conflict to that point. You're utilizing your anger as a tool to get what you want. And that's not going to resolve anything, because in the moment you might feel better, but that underlying thing that keeps coming up over and over and over again, it hasn't been talked about.
Right. And I want to tack something onto that. Constantly creating conflict like that is going to alter their image of you.
Yeah.
So absolutely. You're no longer going to be this fun, dope person who brings happiness to their really shitty life. You're now contributing to the shitty life.
It's gonna be a fucking problem.
Right.
Why would you want to be with somebody who's always doing that?
Right.
Right? Like, and we have a bonus conversation at the end of this about protecting your peace, something that you wanted to talk about. But the gist of that is that if you are constantly around somebody who's pulling you backwards and making you feel like dog shit and you leave, they're emotional vampires.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You leave and feel completely destroyed. I need a nap. I could sleep for 3 fucking days. I need a drink.
I don't want to do my hobbies anymore. Right. I don't have the energy for it.
Those people are siphoning the love of life that you have just so that they have a little bit of happiness in their own. Which
is the love you provide for their needs.
Yeah, get the fuck out of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can do that to anybody.
They do, to everyone.
Right. So I used to be that vampire, and I would date anybody who would date me because I believe that I was useless. I was unworthy. I had low self-esteem, low self-confidence. And if anybody gave me attention, they're the greatest thing that ever graced this planet because who am I? And I wasn't with them because of who they were as a person. We didn't have the same hobbies. We didn't have the same interests. They just provided a synthetic love for me. And I siphoned all of their energy from them.
Okay, moving on to the next one.
Hang on. I'm so sorry. To add on to that, the reason that I said that is to recognize that the person who is causing all of this chaos, all of the arguments, all the fights, or if you are the person causing these arguments and fights, are you really in love with this person? Or are you just chasing the high that love gets in the moment when you really need it?
Lust.
Right. Because if you are with somebody who is chasing that kind of chaos, I would reevaluate, do we do anything together besides fighting? Do we have shared interests? Do we have shared hobbies? Do we have in-depth conversations about books that we read?
We're going to come to that conversation too.
Right. Or do we just fight? And then when we're not fighting and they're in a high or we're in a high as a couple and things are really dope and great and we're having a lot of sex and everything is fun, and then it crashes again.
Sounds like a relationship that has its own BPD.
Right.
Like the relationship itself is borderline. Right. Yeah. Okay, so another question that you should ask is, have my actions lately shown you that I am still in this with you? Mm-hmm. This comes down to doing the check-ins. If you guys are doing the check-ins on a regular basis and you know how to communicate with your person and things get a little bit off, that conversation is going to be had immediately. Mm-hmm. Because we need to talk about this as soon as things are a little bit off. Not when it's become a major fucking problem. Like, hey, this just happened. It made me feel a certain kind of way. I don't really like that. Can we find a better route next time?
Right.
Dope. We can do that. No big deal. Right? Like, this, you're not yelling at me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a piece of shit. You're not going to leave me over it. Things aren't being thrown. You feel a certain way about it. You let me know that it made you feel that way about it. Me knowing that it was unintentional. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of sorrow there. Like, I'm sorry that I did that, but cool. I know that I did that. Next time I'll try to do better. Right.
So what would be the soft startup for that? To be able to say it in the moment without coming across as shitty or attacking. Because people are going to be hyper emotional.
Yeah.
Fight or flight.
This would normally be a soft startup question, like statement. Like you really need to figure out how to address the situation. But if it's happening in the moment and you're by yourselves, mm-hmm. you're not in a group of people, simply going, hey, the timer just dinged.
Yeah.
The cookies are done. I just fucking realized something and this made me feel a certain kind of way. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. I know you didn't do it on purpose, but because I made it feel this way, maybe we need to talk about this more later. Can you work on that?
Right.
You fucking, I'm not in trouble.
Mm-hmm. I'm not leaving.
You're not leaving. You've told me what it is that you're feeling and how we came to that. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that can happen in the moment is me going, damn, I didn't realize I was doing that.
Thank you for telling me.
Thank you for telling me. And then mental note, mm-hmm. I like gooey cookies. That's what that ding was.
Right.
If I want gooey cookies, I got to behave myself. Right. Like, and that's a joke, guys. I'm not saying that you have to be on your P's and Q's with people, but you do need to be able to understand what your person's going through. And if you know their triggers and you know what they're going through, it's not fucking hard to side skirt those things while they're healing. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that you're responsible for their triggers. It doesn't mean that you're responsible for their emotional outbursts or the way that they behave. That's a them problem. If you love them, you want the best life that you can possibly fucking have, you are going to try to not kick that raw nerve.
Right.
Don't kick the beehive, so to speak. So the question was, have my actions lately shown that I am still in love with you? That after all this time, I am still grateful for the simple things that you do daily to show that you love me. Like a simple thank you when you bring me my plate. Or when my favorite pair of underwear are in the drawer and I'm like, yes, they're clean. I get to wear them today. Mm-hmm. And you're walking in the bedroom while I'm holding my favorite pair of underwear. In that moment, I'm like, hey, thank you. getting in the shower, right? That goes a long fucking way for people. In the event that you're in the kitchen cooking and like there's bacon on the plate. I can walk by and grab the snack bacon and just keep walking. Or I can put my hands around you, catch your traps a little bit and talk to you for a moment and shove bacon in my mouth while I'm, doing that. That is an intimate moment. It doesn't take a whole lot of extra time. It's not like that extra 3 seconds is going to make me late for something. Why are you getting teary-eyed?
Because I love that you do that, and I'm just thinking about all the times you do that, and I love my husband. I felt it in my nose first. That's why I was crinkling my nose.
It's not hard to just simply be aware. This comes down to taking things for granted. Everybody gets so caught up in the routine, right? Like every day you go pick the kids up from school. Granted, I'm a bonus dad, but like if not even being the bonus dad, like that, the kids have to be picked up.
Right.
It has to happen. They can't be left at school indefinitely.
Right.
Going, hey, I really appreciate that you take that extra 5 minutes to get there a little bit early, even though you're reading your Kindle or making notes or whatever it is that you're doing in the parent pickup line. Thank you for getting the kids from school today. Or in the event that like the kids learned a new word and we're having a discussion about it and you're like, we spent 15 minutes on that. Well, that's super dope. They're fucking learning. You're such a good mom. Like those small things are, you know what you're doing? You're making deposits. If you look at your relationship as a bank account, every one of those positive interactions is a deposit. And you need a lot of deposits for every negative withdrawal or you will be defunct in your bank account. The Gottman Institute said that for every 5 negatives, you need 1 positive in a fight. And in day-to-day life, you need 20 positives to 1 negatives. So it's 5 to 1 and 20 to 1. So I said that backwards. For every 5 positives, for every 1 negative, there's 5 positives. Did I say it right that time?
Yes.
Okay.
That's for daily life.
That's for a fight.
Oh, that's for a fight.
So if you are in conflict and you say something shitty,
because that's what you just said, babe.
Yeah, I'm gonna explain it just so that it's right because I struggle with that.
Okay.
If we're arguing or we're in a fight and I say one shitty thing, it takes 5 things to repair to balance that one thing. So if I'm like, I can't fucking believe you, I now have to give you a compliment, tell you I love you, tell you I'm not leaving, touch your leg, and do something else to let you know that like there's been 5 interactions for that one negative thing. In day-to-day life, it's a 1 in 20. So in your daily everything, as you go about from morning to night, there should be 20 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction that you have if you want to have a successful relationship. Those positive interactions are simple things like touching, kissing, you're beautiful, thank you for this. I'm going to go take the dog out real quick for you because you're napping, whatever. It is deposits into this bank account. I totally thought she ripped ass just now and it derailed my entire train of thought because that was loud. It was the fucking cot she's laying on. But that makes sense, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So can I want to tack something onto what you just said.
Okay.
So I did not read whatever you read that gave you those numbers, but I would imagine that the 1 in 20, it increases in daily life because in conflict, that's a hopefully 1 in a blue instance. And that's quickly repairable because everything else has been great. Right. So in daily life, if I say good morning to you and you ignore me, I'm like, hey, babe, did you hear me say good morning? Good morning.
Right. That's a negative.
Right. That's a negative, but that's also an out of the blue negative. Okay, like we're not in conflict. I don't understand what's happening here. And if it's not addressed in the moment, I could see what. Why are you smiling?
Because now we are starting our day with an NSFE.
Yeah.
If that's how our day started, and I know that I need 20 positives for 1 negative, I am now 20 in the hole.
Yeah.
So I now need 40 to end our night on a positive note, and that's if I don't say some more negative shit or am an asshole to you for the rest of the day. Like that's how important that is.
So does this bank account reset every morning?
No. This is your marriage.
Okay.
When you check your account balance, this is going to speak into nagging. It's going to speak into being criticized. It's going to speak into the honey-do list, the ungratefulness that comes into a whole lot of things. Like this is a running tally of what your marriage looks like. And it's why it's so important to constantly be doing the positives and having the fucking gratitude of attitude and doing the thing. Because when you find yourself in constant conflict day after day after day, eventually you're going to detach. It's going to make the roommate phase turn into something whole other ugliness where you don't even like your roommate anymore. Like,
right.
It's just, that's really problematic. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add on that one, babe?
What was it that we were talking about? What did we end on?
All right. So up until this point, we've been talking about a whole lot of the way that you can approach the situation, right? The flip side of that is, am I listening to understand what is happening right now, right? And this speaks to the natural defensiveness of people. If you have anybody that's been through trauma, abuse, been with a narcissist, whatever, everything is a fucking problem.
Right.
And it's always me. We had one time, once, where you said some shit to me and I was like, what the fuck did I do now? And you were like, whoa. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was that one time. Instantly came out, instantly regretted the moment it came out of my mouth. Like,
yeah.
But
my reaction also helped the situation.
It did, because you could have blown up on me.
Oh, it was so close. You turned around, you had your phone in your hand, you turned around, I was standing in the living room, and it took everything in me not to walk up to you and smack the phone out of your hand. Be like, try that again.
Gangsta Peach.
So I just went with whoa. Because that kind of aggression is unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, and that instance was me taking out something that had nothing to do with you on you.
Right.
And I'm aware of that. Like I fucking, the moment it left my mouth, I knew it was going on.
Yeah.
But we were able to correct it.
Yeah.
And that was me getting defensive in the moment. There was other things that led up to that, and that was not the response that you should have been given. And I should have just been like, what's up? And we could have had a conversation.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was that we were talking about leading up to that, but I was obviously frustrated already and dealing with what I was dealing with. And then that came out, but we were able to catch it right away, apologize. Cooler heads prevailed, and we had the conversation that we needed
definitely
to have.
had to calm down from that.
Yeah.
Because that's when grace comes in.
Yeah.
And understanding and recognizing that you are with another human being and they have a whole nother world going on in their mind. So if something comes out of the side of their neck, well, sometimes something comes out of the side of my neck, whether that be tone or attitude or just, babe, we don't talk to each other like that. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm on autopilot.
That's lived experience.
Right.
Right? That is us doing what we've always done, because that's what we expect to happen. Sometimes, people have long relationships, and what is a long relationship depends on how long you've been alive, right? If you're only 21 years old and you had a 3-year relationship, that's a long ass relationship for you, right?
When thinking half of your life ago, you were a minor,
right?
Probably in middle school, early high school,
right?
Yeah.
So being that you are asking yourself, am I listening to understand, means that you're not listening. You don't feel like you're being bitched at, right? You're listening to what's going on so that you can problem solve. And I think in order for that to be a thing, the other person has to come at you in a way that's not attacking.
Right.
And that's a concerted effort between both people to
take a step back.
Right. Yep.
It's really hard to see the person you love through that filter of anger. I'm willing to break anything when I'm angry.
Yeah.
Like, you really need to take that step back. When you love something, you handle it delicately. Even when you're mad and you know you're carrying porcelain, you're careful with that porcelain.
Right, because you don't want to break it.
Right. So you got to treat your person that way. And that comes from both ends. Oh, there was something else I wanted to say, but I'm hung up on the porcelain thing. What did you say before I said my thing?
The concerted effort to make sure that the two of you are on the same page with things.
Yes. And so when an argument happens, say you say something calmly and you're met with defensiveness. This is like a game of chess. You now have your move. You're either going to match that defensiveness and now we're in an argument, or you're going to choose to de-escalate and be like, whoa, hang on. If that came out shitty, I'm so sorry. That's not the way I meant to say that. I'm not trying to attack you right now. I love you. I just want to have a conversation about my feelings. There is always an opportunity to de-escalate a situation. There is a point where it gets too far if you start calling names and...
Right. You got 3 minutes.
Right. That's what it was, 3 minutes.
3 minutes to reclaim a conversation, to make it a conversation so that it does not end in an argument.
Yeah. something that I have noticed within myself is, why am I mad about this? Even when you and I are having a disruption, why are we having this conversation? Fuck, I don't know, but I'm upset. Well, now I'm upset too. I'm sorry I made you upset. Well, I'm sorry that you're upset about whatever you're upset about. And then we hug and we comfort each other, and then we talk about the emotions and we move on.
Right. Well, that speaks to an emotional security in your person. If you don't feel safe, you don't feel safe, right? And that speaks to the bank account. If your bank account is defunct, you're not going to ever feel safe with your person. Every single time you bring something to them, you're going to expect blowback. Then it goes from, do I really want to have this conversation? Or do I really want to have this conversation, to, we're about to fight.
Right.
So now we were originally just trying to have conversations, but because of learned behavior over all of these disruptions, we're now going into this ready to clash horns. Like, that's going to fucking do anything. Nothing's going to get resolved in that moment, but we're ready for that. That you can't live like that. If you're living with your person always ready for them to be on the attack and you always having to be on the defense, something's not right in the relationship.
I can't imagine, because I have lived this life, and I've caused people to live this life with my own action and my own fallout for my emotional turmoil. Going to work with armor on to deal with the wild and the people you work with is heavy. To come home, to take that armor off, to put on my home armor, is just as heavy, because this is supposed to be the place I can come home to where it's quiet.
Right. You don't your armor at the house. This is your castle, your sanctuary.
Right. I think that armor to wear at home is heavier than the one you wear out into the universe.
Yeah. Well, your home life will affect every other facet of your being.
Yeah.
You can have a great home life in a shitty work environment and be okay.
And still be happy.
You have a shitty home life, it will affect every other facet of your life, whether you want it to or not. You can go to work and be happy for a little while, but that underlying, fuck, I have to go home, is always going to be there.
Can I get overtime?
Yeah. I don't want to be here anymore.
You guys want to go out after work?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And then that withdrawal happens.
And then they sit in the car for 30 minutes in the driveway.
Yep. Yep. I also wrote on here, or are you being reactive? So am I listening and understanding what is happening, or am I being reactive? That knee-jerk defensive mechanism is so strong in many people that most of the time you're doing it when it's not necessary.
Right, because you're just so used to being attacked that you just expect everybody to attack you.
Right. And this comes down to trauma. This also is why you're supposed to heal before you get into another relationship. This is also why it's important to explain to people in your courting phase the things that you've been through. If you were somebody who is with a physically abusive person and it's been 3 years and you've not dated anyone, and you go on a date, you should tell them, my last relationship was 3 years ago and dude was physically abusive to me.
Right. I'm going to flinch. Like, you're going to yell at me and I'm going to fucking cry.
Right. Or we're on it, 3 years and I was with a narcissist. Hey, just letting you know, my last girlfriend was a fucking narcissist. Like, there's going to be things that if this continues that we may have to work on, because you're going to expose nerves that I haven't fucking worked through yet.
I have survival mechanisms that may be toxic.
Right. And that's really fucking good to explain. Right. And the reason that I say that is because you don't know what's going to trigger you until it fucking does.
And then you're in fight or flight and you don't recognize you're triggered. You just recognize that you need to feel better. And whatever's going on right now, well, the person I'm with is causing this.
Right. Which falls right back into what I was saying a minute ago about going, I don't know, this ding, cookies are done. This made me feel a certain kind of way. I want to let you know what it is that I feel, blah, blah, blah. And you have that conversation. That'll teach you. You just got smacked in the face with a tail.
I did. Whap.
You ready for the next one?
Can you repeat what you just said? I just got smacked in the face.
This speaks to the ding cookies are done comment that I made earlier in this episode, where we are addressing the things that are making us feel a certain way in the moment. If something triggers you that you've never been triggered before, or it makes you feel a certain way, how do you address that?
Okay, pause. Okay, so I said I may have some survival mechanisms that are toxic. You talked about exposed nerves. Down. Good girl. Exposing nerves, reacting. Okay, so if you are the person getting into the relationship with the person saying, I may have survival mechanisms because I was with somebody who was narcissistic for 5 years and it may be toxic. The way that you can help them is in the moment. If their tone changes or they feel like they need to be sneaky with something, like they're hiding that they're spending money at Target because they were financially abused by somebody. That'd be just a conversation of, hey, you're safe with me. I'm not mad about this. We can talk about this. Do you want me to come to Target with you? We can make it a fun quality time thing. This isn't something that you have to be sneaky about. I want you to be able to enjoy going out and...
I'm going to pause you. She either needs to get back on her cot or she needs to lay down because she's blocking your face entirely.
Place.
Thank you.
I don't remember what I was saying.
You were talking about let's make Target a fun thing so that we can do things together versus you feeling like you need to hide the fact that you spent money for me.
Yeah. Don't be shitty about it. Don't take it personally. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Don't take it personally. Recognize that you're with somebody who maybe has mental illness, maybe has PTSD, has things that they have to cope and learn with and have to cope and learn how to be in a healthy relationship. When you think about the state of the world, not everybody grows up in a really good childhood environment. They don't even have good relationships modeled for them. So all their use is to chaos. Being that person to show somebody how to be loved and how to have a healthy relationship is a big task.
Right.
It is a big task, and it's not for everybody. And it's not fixing somebody. It's just loving somebody the right way so they can flourish.
That's the whole love is not enough thing.
Right.
Right? Because you can really love somebody and still not be what they need to heal and you can't heal them.
Right.
You can be there to not rip the fucking Band-Aid off. Mm-hmm. Right? If that scab is scabbed over and you're picking at it, you can love them and still be picking at it and not even realize you're doing it. But that could come down to your own demons and your own bullshit that you haven't worked through yet.
Right.
The idea that we are here having a conversation about how to have healthy conversation and healthy arguments and have, because arguments are going to happen.
Yeah, disagreements are going to happen. I don't like that you did this, babe. Like, this rubbed me the wrong way, and I know I sound dick right now, but I don't like feeling this way towards you. Let's have a conversation and help me work through this.
And that's the difference between having a fight and having a disagreement.
Right.
You are always going to have disagreements. You are making a choice to have a fight or an argument. Mm-hmm. In the state of affairs, while we are here having this conversation, there's 1,000 other clips for every one that we make of fuck all men, women ain't shit, they're gold diggers, men have to be 666,
red pill,
all
whatever,
of that
whatever.
nonsense, right? Because they're the fucking problem, not us, them.
Right.
So you have to be aware of what you're ingesting because what you consume is not just food. And I think that
I am so sorry. You're probably going to lose your thought, but I'm going to say this anyway. I've done a little bit of research that doctors were trying to see the effects on microplastics on the human brain, and they could never get it off the ground because they couldn't find a control group.
That's very fucking random out of nowhere, but I would believe that because we eat plastic every day.
But you saying that what you ingest is not just food, if that's all you take in, like, it's affecting your brain the same way our food affects our brain.
Right. It is. It absolutely is because it's affecting your cognitive bias.
Yeah. Sorry. That was a very excited thing.
Ding. I felt like we were on fucking
Ding, fries are done.
Family Feud. Tires.
For 500. Tires.
I don't know. And then what they always do, they say, what's the question? And they say some random shit.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is this Price's?
It's the Steve Harvey Family Feud show. With the
Family Feud?
Scoreboard. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're right. They do that.
Sorry about all the weird cuts. I've been having to get up and stretch a lot, and I'm having cramping in my hip. My back's feeling way better today.
That's good.
It's
I can
working.
tell.
It's working. Okay, so the question was, is she nagging?
Okay.
Or have I not heard the multiple requests that were made? And then the other question is this nagging or a gentle reminder?
Okay.
This really does come down to delivery. If somebody says something to you and you've heard the question 5 or 6 times, mm-hmm. I hate repeating myself, right? And because I hate repeating myself, if I got to say the same shit 2 or 3 times, by the 3rd time, I'm not saying it again. 4th time, I'm not saying it again. Mm-hmm. I said what I said. You didn't hear it. That's your problem.
Right.
Right. And that's very petty and it's childish, but it's because I don't want to have to fight for your attention. If I need to say something to you and it's important, I need your undivided attention. If you can't give that to me, I'm not going to bother with it. I'll just fucking do it myself. Right.
Right.
There's a toxicity in that. Mm-hmm. If you are dealing with the dog training, dealing with the dog trainer and trying to figure out something new. And I'm asking you stupid fucking questions that have nothing to do with anything because I'm too impatient to wait until you have a moment that you can actually afford to give me your undivided time. That is a me problem, right?
Right.
So that comes down to situational awareness. Hey, she's currently busy. I should probably wait. Make a note in the phone, set an alarm 30 minutes.
Right.
Then ask that question. That's healthy.
Yes.
Now, if you were like, babe, can you change the lights in the kitchen? There's 6 lights in here. 3 of the bulbs are burned out. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And a month goes by and there's still 3 burnt out lights. And you're like, thought you were going to change those lights. That's not a gentle reminder. That's a fuck you because the lights haven't been changed yet.
Right.
Now, if it's been a week and you notice the lights haven't been done yet and you say, babe, did you order those lights off of Amazon? I'd be like, no shit, I totally forgot. Let me go grab one out of the ceiling right now, place the order so that I can change them. Right? Because our lights are not just normal light bulbs.
Right.
That this is an actual real example.
Yeah. Well, the actual circumstance that happened was we were in the kitchen. I was making our shakes and you were like, oh, I don't know what to do. I got nothing to do right now. I don't know what to do for a day.
Right.
And I was like, the lights. And you're like, well, I was like, the lights in the kitchen. And you looked up and you were like, oh yeah, there's 3 of them out now. And I was like, yeah. And you're like, you got the ladder. You ordered them off of Amazon.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're in.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I've got nothing going on right now. Now is a great time to tell me that we need to do something.
Right.
That's healthy conversation. That's not nagging. That's not you coming to me while I'm doing taxes.
Right.
Or while I'm creating a blog post for the premiere that drops on Monday, or dealing with carryover editing, or playing video games. Because if I'm playing video games and I'm in the middle of a search and destroy match and you're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I've got 3 other people talking in my ear while I'm playing this video game. I'm not going to remember that.
I actually have an actual instance for that.
Okay.
Our daughter left her little sparkly shoes here. And I texted you, was like, hey, babe, when you're done gaming, can you grab them on the way home? And you were like, yeah, no worries. And we got up the next morning and she went, oh, Pops forgot my shoes. And I was like, oh, baby, it's okay. We have other shoes. But that's an actual example.
That's a really good example because I don't even remember that moment.
That's funny.
But that's how that works.
Right, because there are always at least 3 or 4 people in the voice chat minimum.
Right. So if you're having a conversation with somebody that is currently engaged in something else and you don't have their undivided attention, expecting them to remember everything all the time simply because it's you asking,
right?
It doesn't work that way. You have to be aware that you are dealing with another human being that has their own cognitive bias and their own life experiences.
Own things going on, their own people that they're talking to, conversations going on.
Right. So when you say gentle reminder, your gentle reminders never look like nagging. It's never... You've never come at me like, motherfucker, I told you, right? Like, it's always, hey, can you? Don't forget. I need this.
Did you remember?
Did you remember? Right. It's never from a place of fuck you. And even when I didn't remember, it's not a, how could you? No big deal. Shit happens.
Now
Life
you
moves
remember.
On. This goes right back to the first one. Is this something that we really should be fighting about?
Right.
Right. Is it the end of the world that her sparkly shoes were not at the house for school the next morning? No.
She wore her other princess shoes.
Right. Had a momentary lapse of this sucks.
Right.
It was a great opportunity for her to learn what the difference is between, a world-shattering existence and something that's just not that big of a deal for the moment. And then you go about your life. Bonus thoughts.
Bonus thoughts. Yep. Okay.
Because that was
okay.
This was my original plan for the episode.
Okay. So before we move on to bonus thoughts, I want to tack on to this whole conversation. None of this is done through text message.
Oh no.
None of this is done through text message. And if we are boyfriend, girlfriend, or girlfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever your relationship style looks like, and we aren't living together, we haven't moved in together yet, and we are having a phone conversation and you hang up on me, I'm on the stance that you get to do that one time. I'm not somebody you're going to hang up on. Now you know, and you do it again, we're done.
And I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. You hang up on me once.
Yeah, we're done.
We're not talking anymore.
Yeah.
I have zero patience for... I have zero patience for anyone who is not emotionally involved enough to handle themselves like a mature fucking adult.
Yeah.
If you hang the phone up while we are in the middle of even a heated discussion... You are telling me in the moment that you are not emotionally mature enough to go, hey, I can't deal with this right now.
Right.
I'm having a really hard time. Give me 15 minutes and I will call you back.
Yeah.
Hang up. That's not hanging up on me. You told me you were ending the phone call. I can handle that.
Right.
I'm
hanging
still having
up
a
because
conversation.
You're not getting your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ain't doing that shit.
See, that's the mom soul in me, though. Like, I feel like I need to be a mom to humanity. all of these lost souls who never got treated right before.
Yeah, but you should never be trying to mommy your man.
No, I don't try to mommy my man. But that is the grace that I have in all relationships is recognize that people haven't had the best upbringing, and I could be that one person, be like, damn, you're right, I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity to teach someone there. I agree with that too.
Yeah. That's the end thought. You can go on to the bonus thoughts.
So the bonus thoughts is, are you in the roommate phase? Like, ask yourself that. Are you in the roommate phase? And if so, why?
What does the roommate phase look like?
Right. Are you asking me that, or is this a pondering of?
I mean, I am asking you that.
The roommate phase to me looks like our conversations are only about bills, scheduling, doctor's appointments, kids' school, jobs, whatever. We don't ever talk about anything else. There's no date nights. Mm-hmm. Intimacy is gone.
No sharing of photos throughout the day.
Nothing.
Of random things. Look at this frog.
Yeah, we're literally, hey, I'm gonna run to the store. You need something? No, okay, cool, I'm out. Not, do you want to go? I'd like you to come with me. The roommate phase is two people living together because it's financially, there's more financial security to do so. It's cheaper to keep her, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And that's the life that you're choosing to live. Your best friend knows more about what's going on in your life than your person does. That's the roommate phase to me. And then you can attack intimacy onto that if you'd like to. And that, speaks
sex
to a whole different, right?
Yeah.
But if that's your life, why? Why is that your life? That's a choice. Mm-hmm. Somewhere along the line, you gave up on treating this like your first day of school or your first day at a job interview, or the putting the best foot forward to find the woman that you want to really be with. And at one point, the person that you're with is the person you decided that this is who you want to be with. Mm-hmm. Why did you allow the roommate phase to become a thing? Because it is a choice. You become caught up in a routine. You take things for granted. In the event that you're making dinner, I know I'm going to get my dinner plate. If I don't say thank you, that is me taking that dinner plate for granted. If I'm like, babe, I'm hungry, and you're like, well, DoorDash, and I just eat my food and wait for you to come take my plate away and never say a fucking word to you, that is me taking you for granted. Like, we don't do that. I'll take your plate. I got you, babe. Like, mm-hmm. I just don't understand why you allow that to happen. I think that in doing that, you change your perspective of who your person is, because you expect them to do these things because it's got to get done.
Right.
Well, I mean, that can speak into housework, right? It can speak into a whole lot of things. We have to go to work every day. We have to make money to be able to put food on the table and to get kids to school and all of this shit. It doesn't mean that you can't be grateful that you've got somebody to do it with. And that's the thing that I get hung up on with a lot, is people on the internet going, well, they should fucking know better, or they should fucking do this. It's got to be done anyways. Why should I have to thank them for doing that? Because it makes you not a piece of shit.
Right.
Right? Like, if you want a roommate, get a roommate. Mm-hmm. You want a fucking nanny, get a nanny. You want a maid, get a maid. You want a partner, you have to fucking have gratitude that they're doing the things that they're doing to make your life easier.
Right.
And putting that perspective on things changes the way your relationship looks.
Yeah. I was thinking about that this morning, how hard it was to do everything by myself. As a single mom, raising children, going to work for 10 or 12 hours a day, coming home, trying to figure out meals. I don't eat a lot of food. Children eat a lot of food.
I eat a whole lot of food.
Right. I saw something on Instagram the other day that made me laugh. It was like me panicking every day, realizing that I have to actually plan dinner because my husband can't survive on 3 Ritz crackers and string cheese like I can.
No, I can't. That's funny.
So like trying to figure out meals for every single day and making sure that nutrients is there, and also simultaneously making sure that I'm raising them to be good humans and I'm not taking out my emotions on them, while also making sure the house is clean and laundry is done and everything's maintained and we're not dirty, and showering. Oh my God, bathing children at a young age. It's like trying to hold an alligator. It's fucking death spinning. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful to have you in my life.
It's teammates. We fucking play to our strengths and we make the life good.
Oh my God, paying rent by myself? There was one month where I thought that I didn't pay rent. But in actuality, I paid my rent 2 months in advance. And then I paid it for a 3rd month in advance, but put myself in the negative because I panicked thinking I hadn't paid my rent.
I actually remember when you did.
I was so frazzled. Yeah. It was too much. It was too much stress for me. We are not meant as human beings to be by ourselves and conduct a life on our own. It's too much.
It doesn't mean that it can't be done, because there are people who thrive in solitude, mm-hmm. but that's a very, very small minority of people who do.
Well, I'm talking about the stress of all of that.
Right. Well, no, we are definitely a village type people.
Oh yeah, especially with children involved.
Yep. Yep. We are. That's the evolution of man. Mm-hmm. You know, the people who are alone don't make it. So, moving on. How intentional are you with the effort that you put into the life that you are sharing with your person? So are you going about what we were just talking about? Everything is just reactionary. It's just you're in a routine, you're in a rut, life is going on, or are you intentional with the things that you're doing? And you can tell when things are intentional, when people go out of their way to do something, and you can tell that they're thinking about it in the moment. Mm-hmm. For example, when I start to get anxious or I'm off, the gentleman thing falls away a little bit because I'm very fixated on other things.
Right.
And that's an indicator for you that I'm not okay in the moment. Like there's something that's throwing off my thought pattern, but it also shows you that it's not habitual, that I'm not doing those things because it's just ingrained. I'm doing it because I'm choosing to do these things. It is a choice. So how intentional are you being with the effort that you're putting into the life that you're sharing with your person? Are you grateful?
I wanted to give another example.
Okay.
Just to tack on to that. The other day you had prescriptions to be picked up.
Yep.
And you were talking about how much in pain you are and like you don't know how you're going to sit in the car for that long to pick up the prescription, all these kinds of things. And like in the moment I was like, I can just pick it up for you. Like not even thinking about it.
Right.
I mean, I did think about it. It's going to put me out of my way a little bit and I'm going to have to change my schedule, but to prevent you from being in pain. And then they tacked on 20 more minutes because the prescription wasn't ready.
Fuckers. To be clear, I could have went inside.
You could have, yeah.
But I can't drive my van through the drive-thru. It's too tall.
Right.
And I can't drive my car right now because of my back.
Right. And getting up hurts you and like all of these things. Like it's unnecessary if I'm able to do it.
Right. That's teamwork.
And it is teamwork. But I want to share a little bit more on that perspective because I had a women's call at 3 p.m. scheduled for 3 p.m. For those of you who don't know, I have a private women's group through our Discord. You can sign up through Patreon. And the weekly call was scheduled at 3 p.m. And that 20 minutes was going to be a 20-minute drive there for me to get ready to the studio. To get here, get ready for the call. And I was like, I can pick up your prescription. It'll be 5-minute additional drive, run through the drive-through, be there 10 minutes early instead of 20 minutes early. And then I ended up having to do the call in the parking lot on my way to the studio. And past me, toxic me would have been like, I can't believe I have to do this. He should have just gotten his prescription. What an inconvenience to my life. Current me, I talk to people in the car all the time. I talk to you on the phone all the time.
Yep.
This is not an inconvenience to me. It's just changing my routine a little bit. Right. It didn't go the way I wanted it to. Am I really going to have a temper tantrum about this?
That's a good way to look at it.
I'm doing something nice for my husband. He's not in pain right now. I have done something that, even though it was out of my way, it shows that I care about his comfort. And that's more important to me than a schedule.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a fucking great example. That's the intentional life that we're living, right? You could have been like, fuck you, take your car.
Right. You can get your prescription tomorrow. I have something at 3:00.
Right. You take the van and park, hobble your ass inside, knowing that I can barely fucking walk at the moment, right? Like, you could have been that way, and I would have had to do it. It's not like you put my fucking sock on the other day because I couldn't lift my foot up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's people that would complain about that.
I take honor in doing those things for you.
It's just wild to me that people live in that everything is great until you're an inconvenience to me mindset. That's
so fucked up.
That's not a partnership. There's nothing there that shows that we are going to thrive and that we're going to last. If my physical discomfort becomes a problem for you and it's becoming something that you can't deal with, we are not. How is the for better or worse? Where's that? Sickness and health. I'm not fucking healthy right now. So when I'm really fucking old and you're not because I'm a decade older than you, or are you going to be like, get fucked, old man, and push me in a swimming pool? Like,
right, drop you off in a nursing home and go live my life with our retirement.
Right. And this is the kind of things that subconsciously people play out in their head. And they may not think about it right away, but when they do think about it, they're going to go back and go through that checklist of all those times, and it's going to become a problem.
Right.
So moving on, this says, are you grateful? Do you show it? And when was the last time that you put them first? Yesterday, you did that for me.
And I want to add, I'm going to add on to that. You also did that for me yesterday too, by taking me to the garden.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a date.
Right. And you were in pain the whole drive up there. It was a 2-hour drive. and we didn't stop once for you to get up and stretch. You just fucking chewed on your cheek, maybe. I don't know how you toughed yourself through that, but you did it.
I moved a lot. I did realize after we got home that I probably should have had you drive because I have the swivel seats in the van and I could have just fucking stood up.
Oh, good call.
But you're the passenger princess and it's on me to drive everywhere, and
it's your duty as my husband.
It's just the way it went. Yeah. But yeah, yesterday sucked dick in the morning. It got way better at the end of the day though. Just it was a rough morning. But that's one of those things that I told you the day before. Mm-hmm. Let's go take pictures tomorrow because it's been like 2 weeks since we've had a date. We went and saw a movie 2 weeks ago. Maybe 3. What was the last movie we went and saw? It was the one with Ivy. It wasn't 3 weeks ago.
The Alien.
We went and saw Romulus.
I want to say Rhombus.
And that was 2 weeks ago. So we've been 2 weeks where we haven't had a date. So I made it a point to be like, we're going to go take pictures and fucking spend the day together. And it was 5 hours total round trip with the pictures. And I'm not going to back out on that, knowing that we haven't had a date in 2 weeks. You need that. I want the time with you. I don't want to fucking live my life playing video games, recording, and eating.
Right.
I want to experience shit. So even though I was in pain, I'm not going to, if I couldn't have walked, if it was really that bad, I probably would have made you drive and we would have just been, we'd have done something different, but we still would have had a date because the relationship matters.
Right.
And I wasn't debilitated pain. I was just in pain.
Right.
So, when was the last time you put them first and not begrudgingly, but because you actually love them? That was yesterday.
Before you continue on, so you did what you did yesterday morning. Me going out of my way to get your medicine yesterday, your prescription, I didn't even think about the fact that we had gone on our date that morning. My focus was in the moment. My husband's in pain. What can I do to alleviate his pain in the near future?
Right. It's putting me first.
Right. It wasn't he did that this morning. I need to do it for him. So we're even.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I wrote on here, when was the last time that you stopped them while they were doing something simple and simply existed with them in the moment? This is the kitchen moments. This is we are walking past each other in the house. You're going to the bathroom or getting ready to take the dog out, and I'm leaving the computer to go lay on an ice pack, or I'm going on my way to the garage to throw something away, and we just stop for a second.
I have a pillow that I put next to your computer chair, and I'll lay my head on your lap and just kind of hug you.
Those moments matter. 3 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute is not the end of the fucking world for you. You can even have those 3-second minutes if you're a stay-at-home worker and you're on hold doing something. That 3 seconds is not going to disrupt your business.
Right.
But we have this thing in our head that we have to go. Things need to get done. We're in a hurry. You know,
right.
A lot of people live in that mindset. And taking that moment to simply exist with the person that you love is depositing those transactions throughout the day. The simple touches. You know, if we're watching TV on the couch and your feet aren't touching me, I will put your feet in my lap.
Yeah.
That's a positive thing because now there's physical touch and your feet are on the pedestal. And I'll hold your foot while we're watching television.
And that's not a habitual thing. That's like in the moment. She's not touching me. I don't like this.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But you know better. So moving on, do your conversations look like honey-do lists and bills, doctor's appointments and scheduling? If so, this is a problem. This is what I said we would get into earlier.
Okay.
This is what the roommate phase looks like. If everything that you discuss in your relationship falls solely on the things that need to be done, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, where is the I love you, thank you for the time that we spent today, let's go on a date, let's go see a movie, what's this new thing that you're interested in, what book are you reading? Like, we are no longer having conversations about life. We are simply living to exist to get through our days. That's lonely.
It is.
It's depressing. It's ugliness. Why would you want to do that? And if you notice that this is what's happening in your life, you need to step back and reevaluate why. Where was the catalyst that took you from, hey babe, hope you're having a great day at work, to don't forget to pick the kids up at 3. And that's the only text message you get all day long, right? You need to have those conversations. That back and forth is necessary. That ties into intimacy is not just sex. This is the biggest paragraph on all of this. And we're getting close to the end. So I'm just going to read this and then we can move on.
Okay.
Intimacy is not just sex and should be had throughout the day. Flirt, touch, and talk about life. Remember how it felt when you were in the honeymoon phase and craved each other's touch. What happened? And for those of you who are touched out because of kids, you need a date night. No phones, no devices. Maybe do a double date with another couple because that'll give you a whole new thing of conversation because you're not always with these people. But do something to recharge and remember who you are. You are not just a mom. You are not just a wife. You are not just a father or a husband. You are a person with interest who wants to enjoy your life. You have to take the time to do it. Taking the time to do it together fucking matters. And then lastly, how often do you pay attention for a bid? Cut that. How often do you pay attention to a bid for connection? And do you even know what that is? At this point, you should, because that's been a huge topic of conversation today.
Right.
If we're driving and you're like, babe, look at that car. You're excited about that car. Something did it for your tism. It's tingling. You want me to look at that car. And if I'm like, yeah, and I go back to doing whatever I'm doing, damn, I was excited about that. You just shit on it. Negative in the bank.
Right.
I'm going to just withdraw 20 of those positives. How is that going to serve your marriage? If you brought those little tiny things in that you and Carrie built the other day, and I'm like, yeah, that's stupid. You were fucking excited as shit about that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
For those of you who can't hear, Carrie was like, I would have cried. Those bid for connections fucking matter, and you don't have to agree with it. You can think that it's fucking stupid, but if your person is excited, be excited for their excitement. Don't shit on the things that make people happy because it doesn't make you happy. Suicidal Tendencies said in a song once, just because you don't like something doesn't mean that it isn't no good. I like certain types of music that drives other people fucking nuts, but I enjoy it. Does that mean that the music's not good, or does it mean that it's not for them?
Right.
I'm not going to shit on something that makes you happy just because I don't vibe with it. Like that's fucking cruel in my opinion. So you need to be aware of those bids for connections. If your partner goes out of way to send you something or to say something to you or to get you to look at something or just wants to share some excitement with you, be aware of what's happening in the moment. It's not about the little, it wasn't about the little thing that you were excited about. It was about you showing me that you just did this little thing and how proud of it you are. And if I look at it from that standpoint versus look at this little cake that you can't eat, because I thought I could eat it. And I was a little disappointed that I couldn't. Right. It's shut up, Carrie. Right?
Yeah.
She made a little chocolate cake with little tiny cherries on it.
It's here. I can get it. Where is it? I think it's in my little bumble. Oh, I may have taken it home. I don't remember. It might be in my bumblebee bag. Okay.
But right, like could you imagine if I'd have taken that and just stuck that in my mouth? Because I thought about it. Like, oh, sweet, you know?
You got to cover my face. There you go.
Look at this thing. Could you imagine if I'd have just picked that up and ate it? But right, so like if I was just like not impressed by that and then completely ignored the fact that you were excited, how often would you be willing to come and share your excitement? Okay, so let's say that's the first time it happens. And a month later it happens again and it makes you remember the first time I did that. And then it happens again. You're not bringing anything that you're excited about to me anymore. You're going to bring it to other people. I now have lost that side of you because of my inability to recognize that you're trying to connect with me. Because you could have sent that and posted it to Instagram. You may have actually posted it to Instagram.
I made a TikTok about it.
Right. But you could have never even shown it to me. But then I would have lost the ability to share that excitement, to be there with you as your partner. And I would have then given permission to the internet because you would have went to them instead of me because of my action. And the internet would have given you the attention that I should have been giving you. Do you see how this cascades? Now I am completely removed from all of the things that bring you joy because of my inability to recognize that you were trying to connect with me in the moment. It's a big fucking deal.
It is a big deal.
All right, this is the last one's you.
So I go on Instagram a lot and I don't scroll people photos on Instagram. I scroll like psychology tips and stuff on Instagram. It really is just a feed of psychology. And one of the things that I came across a couple of weeks ago that really messed me up for like 2 weeks was people are saying that they are protecting their peace when they're practicing emotional avoidance. And that disrupted everything I had going on. And I spent 2 weeks reevaluating the situations that I have put boundaries on, right? And I've questioned, oh my gosh, is that emotional avoidance? Am I just...
Can you give an example?
Not talking to somebody I used to talk to all the time, right? Like we've moved on from that relationship. It no longer benefits the both of us. And it's just every time we interact, it was really toxic and shitty, right? So if I am the one who moves on from that relationship and there's a negative fallout, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. You're abandoning me, blah, 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 blah. I was second guessing, okay, am I avoiding my emotions on this situation? Am I just shutting down because I don't like what's happening? Or am I actually protecting my peace? And after the 2 weeks of me actually sitting down and reevaluating my situations, I have recognized that it is not emotional avoidance because I feel every single emotion in regards to these situations. And those emotions combined with the logical processing of the situation, right? Like the facts of the situation combined with my emotions, if my emotions are logical, some of them are not, and those are the ones that don't get brought to light because there's nobody else's problem but my own. That just confirmed to me because I'm able to feel those emotions and accept the negative emotions towards the situation. Like this person did that to me and they're not going to change. And that sucks. That acceptance isn't emotional avoidance.
No, it's not. It's that's an emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I do view that as protecting your peace. I also think that it's important to recognize that line is very blurry. It is not a very clear, crisp, defined line. It would be very easy to misunderstand or misrepresent what's happening in the moment. But I also think that if you view it from a point of, is this person an emotional vampire?
Yeah.
And you're able to realize where they fall into control dramas and the way that they make you feel, it could be a vie for energy. And at that point, you do have to protect your peace.
Right.
You know, like you said, if it was somebody that every time you talk to, it became a problem, why would you want to engage with that person?
Right. Every time their name pops up on my phone, my heart sinks.
Yeah.
I find a reason not to answer the phone.
Yep. Yeah, that's a problem. Those are the type of people that you want to cut out of your life. Mm-hmm. You said something a second ago about it was no longer beneficial for the both of you to be friends.
Yeah.
I think that people tend to forget that relationships are transactional.
Right.
When you no longer benefit each other, it is good to move on.
Right.
And that benefit could just be you enjoy their company.
Right. We read books together.
Right.
And if every time we read books, you start trauma dumping on me.
Right.
This isn't why I'm here. I don't know you like that. We're here to enjoy books together.
Right. I think that even in a marital relationship, it is beneficiary to both of us. Like we benefit equally from what's going on in our marriage. And in the event that, or the relationship, in the event that one of us stopped benefiting from the relationship, the next step would be the roommate phase. And things would cascade past that point. And it's important to recognize that. Like it is an ebb and flow. There is a transmission of energy between two people to make things function the way that it's supposed to function. It's just something to think about. I don't have anything else. I think we'll probably be right around an hour after all the cuts.
Okay.
You want to wrap up?
Yeah.
Good, because I really need to stretch again.
Yeah, I need to get ready to get the kids anyway.
So with that being said, guys, remember you are the authors of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.